Snap Studios.
Minions don't wait, especially for Wi-Fi. Summon same-day Wi-Fi from Xfinity and get the same price for 5 years. And see Minions and Monsters only in theaters. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Learn more at xfinity.com/same-day Wi-Fi.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states. The Arikara, Plains people, they call it the Black Wind. To the Arapaho, they're the work of the Whirlwind Woman. Tornadoes have always held a special place in the American imagination because more of them happen here than anywhere else. 75% of all tornadoes occur in the continental United States. 1,200 a year. Dozens of people perish every tornado season, but some folk, when they catch sight of nature's vortex, they don't run away. They run toward. Rural Michigan. As a kid in school, the film they make us watch with the pretty lady in a yellow dress, it instructs us that if you see a tornado, go immediately to the basement or to the middle of a sturdy building or to a ditch. But no one in our trailer park has a basement, a sturdy building, or a ditch. I look up from our front yard, and off in the far distance, the sky trembles. A slate gray cloud boils, snakes a long tendril to the ground, then instantly turns black. I hear thunder, cracking, mothers, fathers shouting, as if it senses our panic. This new monster pulses, rise, and advances. Me, silent, screaming, not moving, frozen. Watching, before it shifts, turning, laughing, deciding to maybe destroy someone else's lives instead. It's too far away to hear their shouting, but I hear them anyway. And the folk in town with houses, with basements, with safe rooms, some of them make fun of us for living out here in trailers. And right then, I cannot help but wonder why monsters drop from the sky to attack us instead of them. Today in Snap Judgment, instead of running away, we're going directly to the heart of the beast. A Snap Judgment blockbuster special, The Black Wind. My name's Slim Washington. No, Godzilla doesn't only destroy Tokyo. When you're listening to Snap Judgment. We begin in tornado country, up close and personal, and our story. In fact, both of the stories you're about to hear today come from Snap Judgment's unofficial weatherman, John Fecile. Snap Judgment.
So did you know that you're the cool teacher?
No, I'm the cool teacher. Oh, really?
Meet Craig Wolter, the cool teacher. Famous at Windom High School for his jokes, for how worked up he got during the lectures in his earth sciences class, for letting his students freeze bottles of Mountain Dew in his mini fridge so they can make slushies. But on this one field trip in 1999, Craig became legendary. That year, Craig took his meteorology class on a field trip from their small town in southern Minnesota to the National Weather Center in Norman, Oklahoma.
It's like, hey, not many high schools have a meteorology class, so why not bring them to where the experts are? In the back of my mind, I'm like, God, it'd be great if we saw some tornadoes. It'd be great if I ran into some of these famous tornado researchers.
Craig was obsessed with tornadoes. He'd gone chasing on his own once or twice, and his principal knew how passionate he was. So before he let Craig take 12 teenagers into the middle of Tornado Alley at the beginning of tornado season, he made Craig promise.
My principal said, you're not going to be storm chasing. You can't be storm chasing because you're going to put kids in danger. And I don't remember the exact words, but basically I would be fired if I took kids storm chasing. And I remember distinctly saying to him, here's the deal. I don't know if you've ever been to Oklahoma, but it's really flat. And if there's a tornado, we might be able to see it from our hotel. In my own mind, it wasn't a solid no, I'm not going to go storm chasing. Because if there was...
That sounds like a pretty solid no.
Yeah.
2 big white vans full of chattering high school students set off across the prairie on a 12-hour road trip.
I had never been further south than Spirit Lake, so it was all new stuff, seeing the terrain, heading down there, and all of a sudden when you see red dirt for the first time, and that's all you see in Oklahoma.
Benny Collins, Jr., was a real weather junkie.
I still have a journal where I would watch all the local meteorologists on TV and write down what they're forecasting.
At 17, he was quiet and shy. In fact, voted quietest and shyest in his high school yearbook.
You are a quiet and reserved guy, but it all changes when you start talking about meteorology.
Oh, God. Thanks.
Off the record, how do I silence my watch?
Throw it.
2 of Benny's best friends, Danielle McEwen.
We knew Benny was going to be in the class, and we thought it would be fun.
And Sarah Trotter.
2, we loved Mr. Wolter.
Were also on the field trip.
Honestly, for me, I think it was a chance to miss 3 days of school. It wasn't like I was super excited to learn more about weather.
Growing up in a small town, we didn't really get out very much. My dad came along as a chaperone, so it was just really exciting.
The students wake up early on May 3rd, 1999, at the roadside motel where they've spent the night.
I refer to it as the luxurious Super 8 motel in Norman, Oklahoma. So we get up and, looking at the Weather Channel, I'll never forget, it was a 20% chance of thunderstorms that day. So it's there's going to be no weather. Oh, well.
Craig and the chaperone, Sarah's dad, herd the students into their 2 vans and drive to the National Weather Service's Storm Prediction Center. The SPC is in a bland government building. If it wasn't for the framed pictures of tornadoes on the walls, you'd have no idea what these people did, or that they were the best in the world at doing it. So you felt like you were in Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly. This is where the magic happens.
It felt like they maybe didn't give a lot of kids tours, because I feel like they were pretty excited to be talking to us when we first got there.
So we knew that something was up because there was an energy. It's just there's something really weird going on. And so we go into this room, and it's packed with meteorologists.
One of the forecasters on duty has called a special meeting. It seems like things are really cooking in the atmosphere. Warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico is pushing up against cold air from the north.
And at that point, he saw that the winds were a lot stronger aloft, which means there's going to be more wind shear later in the day to interact with the boundary.
I said, yeah, can you put some of that stuff, what they just said, could you please tell us in layman's terms, high school meteorology version?
Thunderstorms are coming. And not just thunderstorms.
And he stated, he's you will be able to throw a rock from one tornado to another in Oklahoma. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. In the back of my mind, I'm looking at the maps and everything, and I'm like, well, if it's that close, if we happen to be sitting in the parking lot of the luxurious Super 8 hotel, there's a good chance we're probably going to see a tornado. And hey, we were at our hotel. There was nothing else we could do.
You're already like making excuses in your head.
I was, but then, of course, hearing the voice of my principal saying, "You will not go storm chasing." And, yes, sir.
Craig's class moves on to their next stop, the parking lot of the University of Oklahoma, for a meeting with the world-renowned Doppler on Wheels.
The Doppler on Wheels truck, which was the radar truck of radar trucks.
These trucks looked like they were big white trucks with like satellite dishes on them, I guess is what I would say.
2 big flatbed trucks with radar mounted on the back. And from out behind one of them comes scientist Herb Stein, ready to give the students a tour.
I asked him, I said, Herb, are you guys going out today? And he replied, no, there was no reason to go out because there was just minimal chance of thunderstorms. In my mind, I'm like, can I share what I just learned at the Storm Prediction Center? I mean, if you're going to be able to throw a rock from one tornado to another, you would think that this truck would be getting gassed up right now. So I said, well, I heard that there was maybe a decent chance of maybe some thunderstorms today. He goes, And, he's giving me a look like, okay, high school teacher, calm down.
Herb Stein pulls one of the 2 cell phones off his belt and makes a call.
All of a sudden, his whole demeanor just changed.
He was like, guys, I'm really sorry. We're probably going to have to cut this a little short. I want to get out on the road. Our initial feeling was disappointment, like, oh, we're not going to get to see anything else,
Danielle and I were discussing it, and we're like, we should ask them if we can go with them. And I think we just blurted it out. Can we go with you? Definitely never thought they would say yes.
And his reply was yes. He's like, well, yeah, he said, you guys want to go along? My mind was like a slot machine, and all the numbers were spinning around and around. And it was like, okay, do I want a job? Do I want to keep employed? Do I not? Do I want to have the opportunity of a lifetime? And I'm like, nah, we can't. I want to. Don't get me wrong, but I kind of promised the principal that was not going to happen on this trip.
Still, Craig knew that being with the Doppler trucks could actually be a good thing. They'd be tracking the storms the entire time, for one. They'd know exactly when a tornado was on the ground and where. And they keep a safe distance, a couple miles.
And then my other driver, Paul, he came up behind me.
Paul, Sarah's dad, the chaperone.
He's a parent. What's your thoughts of your kid is going on this trip? And he said, quit being a.
The next thing I know, we were leaving. I mean, these guys were packing up and they were going, whether we were going with them or not. Mr. Wolter always played Aerosmith. Deuces Are Wild, the whole Big One CD. He wouldn't let anyone listen to anything else.
The 2 white vans, full of high school students, take off, Craig at the wheel, passing farm towns and endless fields baking in the heat. Up ahead, the 2 Doppler trucks. And in the distance, pillowy cumulus clouds soar upwards. The whole convoy drives parallel to the growing storm.
I remember driving around in this one town, and there was like a family reunion, or there was some celebration thing going on in the city park. It's like, do these people know what's going to possibly happen here, within the next couple hours or so? The siren started going off, and, it's that eerie sound. Then it's kind of like, whew, here we go. Your instincts say, I need to find shelter. And I'm driving students to this. You kind of second guess it. Again, your internal instincts say, hey, we need to find a basement.
But he keeps going, following the Doppler trucks. An hour goes by, 90 minutes. Finally, outside of the town of Lawton, the Doppler trucks come to a sudden stop on the side of the road. Benny and the other students jump out of the vans.
It was a hot and sunny day out in the prairie, and I remember smelling the prairie grass, and the Doppler on wheels was off to the side. When they put the radar trucks down and started scanning, that's when it kind of set in for me that we're really doing it out here.
One of the students is recording video as Craig and Paul wrangle everyone to the side of the road.
Hey, watch out, guys, get in front. Get in front or something.
The wind is picking up. 5 or 6 miles away, a giant rotating cloud is beginning to lower from the base of the storm. The mesocyclone.
We're looking at a mesocyclone right there. The rotation is really tight.
I remember Benny yelling. I remember everyone that knew what they were seeing being really oh my gosh, this is happening.
Come on, baby, get down. I know you want to.
Think of an upside down layer cake. The first layer they see, the mesocyclone. Then a second layer drops down below that, a dark gray wall cloud. Then the final layer.
The next step, touchdown, boys. And next thing you know, we have a tornado.
Across the fields, a wispy gray finger reaches down and touches earth.
Your heart is beating so rapidly that, you feel you just shattered your sternum or your breastbone.
A small, ropey tornado, about as wide as a swimming pool, kicks up dirt.
It doesn't look like how I feel like it looks. I feel like it's just more it just gets really black and it just kind of comes down.
It's almost like it's distorted until it's not, right? It's just all of a sudden it was bam, there it is.
That's a tornado.
The tornado is on the ground for less than a minute before it dissipates and winds back up into the clouds. Just enough time for a picture.
We took selfies with the tornado before selfies existed. We had pictures of all of us with the tornado in the background.
Well, that's just a picture.
I know, but do you know what I mean? It's look here's us in the tornado.
Then the Doppler scientists invite the students into one of the trucks, where they've gotten real-time scans of the tornado. They're able to see the precipitation, the wind speed, the tornado's internal structure.
I don't think any of us thought that we'd see something like that. So we see this tornado, it's incredible, and we think, wow, we actually did it.
Okay, great, let's pack it up. This is what we did. This was amazing. So glad we came and we saw one.
I've got enough explaining to do already. The only thing is that in order for us to get back to Norman, the road that was going to take us is being compromised by severe weather. There was no way we're going to drive through that.
Craig hadn't thought this far ahead, but at this point, staying with the Doppler trucks is the safest bet. They pile back into their 2 vans and press play on Aerosmith as the Dopplers drive towards the next tornado and the next.
Whoa, this escalated quickly, right? It legit was real life Twister.
When Snap returns, Craig and his students face down the big one. Stay tuned.
Minions don't wait, especially for Wi-Fi. Summon same-day Wi-Fi from Xfinity and get the same price for 5 years. And see Minions and Monsters only in theaters. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Learn more at xfinity.com/same-day Wi-Fi.
With money, if you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going. The good news is that this is where Monarch comes in. You can see exactly what's happening across the entirety of your financial life in one space, and this alone changes the game. As for me, I asked Monarch some very telling questions like, how much did I actually spend on DoorDash this year? Good Lord, how many video services am I subscribed to anyway? What's this sudden expense shredding my budget? Do I have a budget? But Monarch goes even further, asking where you want to be and showing you the steps for getting there. Because Monarch is like having a financial advisor in your pocket. Why guess when you can know? Write your own money story with Monarch. Use code SNAP at monarch.com to get your first year of Monarch Core half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code SNAP. Welcome back to Snap Judgment, the Black Wind episode. When last we left, high school science teacher Craig Wolter and his class had hit the road with the world's top storm researchers. They found themselves in the middle of a giant tornado outbreak with no way out. Snap Judgment.
The forecaster at the Storm Prediction Center was right.
Oh, look at that debris. Yeah.
Multiple storms, multiple tornadoes.
Like, it was just kind of a constant rush of take the pictures. That's great. Get back in the van. We're going again.
Benny even remembers seeing a tornado that had two vortices, a double twister.
One large wedge tornado with this smaller one going around it. I remember that one being darker, like kind of like a bluish black.
That is a classic roll cloud. You can see, look at the gust front right ahead of us. See how those clouds are coming down and curving?
Throughout all of this, Craig is still teaching. Remember, it's a field trip.
As they were forming, I just remember all the terminology being shouted out left and right, and look at this and look at that, and this is exactly what we were talking about.
Look at that. Look at the shelf cloud coming down. See how that bulges outward there?
I'm almost positive that he made us take notes.
Oh, look at right there. Yeah. Look at right there.
He has this little...
Got it.
Oh, look at it. Look at it.
Oh, there it goes. There it goes. There it goes.
Oh, look at it.
Oh, look at the wall cloud.
Look at that wall cloud. The shelf cloud right in front. What better way of, having a textbook meet reality than that experience?
Craig is driving, trying not to crash.
There's a tornado over there, and I was like, okay, I got to stay focused and drive this van here.
Every once in a while, he glances back nervously at his students' faces.
I asked several times, how's everyone doing? And, of course, these are high school students. They can't show weakness around their friends. And if they were scared, they didn't tell me.
None of the tornadoes do much damage, but they do grow bigger and stronger as the storm moves along. And then finally, tornado number 9 touches down.
We stopped at that overpass and got up on top and watched it from a distance, and it was just this gray mass.
An enormous EF5 tornado. Dark gray, nearly black, colored by all the debris it's sucking up. From their spot on the interstate miles away, all the students can hear is the rushing of wind.
It was so big that you could almost not see either side of it. I mean, it didn't even look like a tornado, really. But the Doppler guys and our teacher kept saying, no, it's a confirmed tornado, and it's gigantic.
Up close, storm chasers record it tracking towards Oklahoma City, blowing up power transformers along the way.
Oh my goodness, that thing is huge. Half mile to a mile wide at this time.
The Doppler scientists invite the students back inside the cabin of one of their trucks. They've just documented something incredible.
Someone said, you've just now witnessed the fastest wind speed on the face of the earth.
318 mile per hour winds, whipping baseball-sized hail and gravel and lumber and cars, picking up freight trains and 18-wheelers, destroying homes and buildings in less than 30 seconds.
It's just pretty unimaginable to be able to comprehend what that was.
And I don't think it was even raining or storming whatsoever where we were, right?
No, it was sunny and pristine.
Craig and his students get back in the vans, but now it's starting to get dark. The Doppler trucks are far ahead, barely visible, driving into a curtain of rain and wind.
The teacher in me, the adult in me, just said, we've had enough. I need to make sure these kids are safe, so we need to get to our hotel.
Chasing the storm had actually led them back in the direction of the luxurious Super 8 motel.
I just want to get to our hotel. And hoping that it's still standing.
On the road back, they start seeing debris, lumber, housing insulation, downed power lines.
All of a sudden, the cement interstate turned into a mud road with tire tracks through it.
Lots of sirens and emergency vehicles and this and that and police, and it's just nonstop.
There was a car that had been tossed, and it was like the front end and the back end were all mashed up, and there was EMT all around it. And remember, Walters pulled over because he was an EMT, and he wanted to go check it out and make sure everything was fine.
The EMTs tell Craig that they've just recovered the body of a child that had been pulled from its mother's arms by the wind. He returns to the van.
And it's kind of like this, moment of silence, like, holy cow. And my students, again, I'm worried about, their mental state. Reality is hitting me. If it's hitting me, it's got to be hitting them. And the reality is people are dying now. I think it was eye-opening for all of us.
Was devastating. I just prayed that people found shelter and were heeding warnings. There's not much else you can do than hope for the best.
We just felt down, definitely much more somber. That was the first time I had felt, quote unquote, homesick. It was like, okay, I'm ready to go home. I want to see my mom and dad and my house and, just be home.
I just remember I just had this complete sinking feeling. When we got to the hotel, I couldn't even talk.
The motel's roof is sprinkled with wood and leaves and trash, stuff thrown by the storm. The parking lot is full.
Lots of cars that were damaged.
The students head for their rooms. Craig continues to unload the van, and as he's closing the door, a guy approaches. His car has bits of wood plastered all over it. He's holding his kid.
And he asked if we had been chasing the storms. I told him, I'm sorry, sir, I just don't feel comfortable answering these questions. And I felt guilty. I was like, 1 minute we're, high-fiving because we saw these tornadoes, and now I'm talking to a guy that probably lost everything. He's just like, hey, it's okay. He said, we live in Oklahoma. And he asked where we're from, and I said, we're from Minnesota. And I remember he's like, yeah, you guys have to deal with mosquitoes. We deal with tornadoes. This is what we deal with. Hopefully you guys learn something to help us.
Later that night, around 10:30, the students call their parents. Danielle is sure her mom will be asleep.
And my mom picked up on the first ring. And I said, Mom, I don't know if you knew this, but there was a huge tornadic outbreak in Oklahoma. And she just starts screaming, yes, I've seen it. We've been watching the news all night. Yes, of course. Yes, we know. Are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. She's like, oh my gosh, it's all over the news. It's a huge deal. And, us just being like, oh.
Good evening. 76 tornadoes, 5 states in less than 7 hours. More than 40 people have been killed, more than 600 people injured. More than 1,000 homes are ripped from their foundations.
On their way home to Minnesota, Craig and the students drive past whole towns where the buildings have been turned into piles of lumber and siding.
Some Minnesota students are back home tonight after getting caught in those killer Oklahoma tornadoes. The Windom teenagers were on a field trip.
Do you remember, half the town was at Mr. Wolter's house when we got back? It was like a welcoming party for us.
The vans pull up to Craig's house after the 12-hour drive.
All the parents are there waiting for us.
Hugged us a little harder than just a 3-day normal trip, right?
Yeah.
Now, snappers, lest you question the educational value of this trip, know this. Of the 12 students, on Craig Wolter's 1999 field trip. 2 went into meteorology, including Benny. Another became the town of Windom's emergency manager. Craig was not fired. In fact, the trip and the press it generated made him look like the coolest high school science teacher ever. He kept it going year after year until 2016 when he changed schools.
Have you tried to do the trip again at your new school?
Yes. Oh, I tried. And matter of fact, I had a conversation this morning with my superintendent, and yeah, there's no way.
Up next, we'll finally take you inside a tornado. It is not what you expect. Stay tuned. I remember walking up to the ATM, fingers crossed, brows sweating, hoping. But the fees hadn't already canceled out my paycheck. I wish I could have used Chime. Fee-free banking, rated 5 stars by USA Today for customer service, real humans 24/7. They even have Spot Me, which lets you overdraft up to $200 fee-free. What? I really could have used that. Chime is not just smarter banking. It's the most rewarding way to bank. Join the millions who are already banking fee-free today. Head to chime.com/snap. That's chime.com/snap. It only takes a few minutes to sign up. Chime is a fintech, not a bank. Banking services for MyPay and Chime Card provided by Chime's bank partners. Optional products and services may have fees or charges. Stated annual percentage yield and cash back for Chime Prime only. No minimum balance required. For more information on APY rates, MyPay, SpotMe, and travel perks, go to chime.com/disclosures. Now, if you're like me, you dig getting your entertainment, your information, your knowledge through sound. You're listening to the Snap podcast right now. Well, 11 Reader is a new, award-winning audio app for iOS, for Android. It's built by 11 Labs. And I had to make my way through some dense material last week. But instead of fretting, I let 11 Reader read it to me when I was on the train. It turned incomprehensible text into a listenable, dare I say, delightful voice. When I stepped off the train, I knew what I was talking about. And that's not all, because 11 Reader brings over 200,000 premium audiobooks and ebooks from top publishers, plus the ability to turn anything you bring, PDFs, articles, docs, into stunningly natural audio. And right now, 11 Reader has a special offer for Snap Judgment listeners. Your first 2 months for only $1. Download the 11 Reader app or sign up on the web today and use promo code PODCAST at checkout to get your first 2 months for only $1. 11 Reader, promo code PODCAST. Welcome back to Snap Judgment, the Black Wind Special. My name is Glenn Washington, and our last story was about running toward tornadoes. Our next story is about a family running from one for decades. Snap Judgment.
2012 was the year of the big Dugan family reunion in Minnesota, and Sue Dugan Moline had volunteered to pick up her cousin Don from the airport. She hadn't seen him in years.
And I thought, well, this is really awkward. What am I going to talk to Don about? Don't know what he's been doing. He's divorced. Haven't seen him forever, Well, as we were driving, probably about a mile and a half from my mom and dad's apartment, I just said, hey, Don, do you ever think about the tornado? That's all. I think that's all I said. Do you ever think about it? And it was like a fire hose let loose, and he started talking. And by the time we got to my mom and dad's apartment, he was bawling. He just got out of the car. He's just bawling. He said, we went home, and we never talked about it.
In 1969, Sue's grandmother, cousin, and sister were all killed in a giant F4 tornado while on vacation at a lake outside the town of Outing, Minnesota.
Even with all these survivors being my family, we didn't really sit around and talk about it. We just referred to it. The tornado.
Sue's mother had watched her sister drown that day.
My mom would just tell her story, that little 1 minute watching Becky drown story.
Sue's dad had been at the hardware store in town.
My dad had a sense of guilt that he hadn't been there to save people, as if somehow you can do anything in over 200-mile-an-hour winds. You know, it's illogical.
Sue only brought up the tornado directly with her parents one time.
And I said to my dad, you know what I'd like to do is just interview everybody who was there, because I thought from a distance we could talk about it now. And he just said, why would you want to do that? And it was the inflection in his voice. Why would you want to do that? He didn't even want to go there. And so I never did.
But a couple of years after the reunion, Sue's parents both passed away, and she decided it was time.
2018, 2019, I decided I am going to talk to everybody I knew who was still alive, who had survived it. And I asked all of them the same 15 questions. What do you remember about the weather on August 6th? What were you doing that day before it started? What do you remember thinking about while you were in the tornado? Did you experience any survivor's guilt?
She'd record the interviews using a little handheld tape recorder that had belonged to her dad. One of the first people she spoke to was her cousin Shane, now in his 50s, and Shane's mom, Priscilla.
Shane says, you know that question about survivor's guilt? He said, I had that. And his mom goes, oh, Shane, what are you talking about? And he says, Mom, you told me to watch out for my sister that day. He was supposed to keep an eye on her, and she died. And he was 7. He had lived with that for 50 years and had never told his mom. I thought, if for no other reason, that was worth doing this, just because he could say that.
When Sue connected with the families of other victims, she found out that it wasn't just hers that had stuffed this memory.
Nancy across the lake, whose grandpa and aunt died, she was 9. She has very clear memories.
Nancy had been flung by the tornado's winds. And when she came down, she landed on her aunt's dead body.
And she, in shock, she had some bad cuts and stuff, but she got up and started helping other people. I mean, what you do when you're in shock, how you just react, it's kind of surprising. So it was therapeutic for her. If the weather's bad now, she texts me, Sue, I think a storm is coming. But she'd had nobody to talk to.
Now she could talk to Sue. And Sue could talk to her because she'd been there.
I would say I probably had about a 2-minute memory of this event, August 6, 1969.
Sue graduated from high school earlier that summer. It was 6 weeks before her 18th birthday.
We'd been up there since Sunday afternoon, and it got a little cloudy. I had my swimsuit on, so I know that it was warm enough to go swimming. And middle of the afternoon, maybe, we started hearing somebody use the word tornado. It probably had been on the radio. I was sitting in the cabin about 30 feet from the lake with my Aunt Priscilla, who was very, very pregnant. And I assured her that we were in a safe place because we were in a very low-lying area with steep hills on both sides of the lake. It would just jump right over us. The next thing I remember is people coming down from one of the upper cabins. My family was running down the hill. They came in. My aunt tells me that I went around and slammed windows and closed windows. I have no recollection But what I do remember is the neighbors from the cabin next door, the Brockies, came in. And Dan Brocky was about my age. And all I remember when he and his mom came through the front door of the cabin, he said, "A tornado's coming." And I would say within seconds, I'm on the floor, like a rug had been pulled out from under me. People say, did you hear it? Was it like a train? Everybody says a tornado sounds like a train. I don't remember hearing it. I remember seeing what I saw out the window, which was stuff blowing sideways. I saw a boat fly through the air. You know that's not supposed to happen. Then you realize, the power of the storm that's coming at you.
And this tornado was a mile wide. As it crossed this long lake, it picked up the water. Eyewitnesses actually saw lake bottom. Fish rained down on the road above the lake. And then all that water dropped back down on top of Sue and her family.
And from then on, it was fighting for air. There was nothing we could do. We were sucked underwater, and about the time you thought you couldn't breathe anymore, you'd get a gasp of air, and then you'd be sucked under again.
As Sue struggled, this memory flashed into her brain of an assembly that happened at her high school right before graduation.
And the speaker was, I think, warning us students, X number of you will be dead by your 10-year reunion. And I thought, I'm going to die. I mean, it was just a given. And then all of a sudden I popped up out of the water. I was riding on lumber from the cabins, just hanging on to something, and I did not see one single person. And I just remember yelling, "God save us. God save us." And then I saw heads start to pop up, and I saw my Uncle Terry, and I saw my friend Dale Carlson, and I saw my aunt, my pregnant Aunt Priscilla, and then my cousin Shane. We were the only 5 people I knew of that had lived.
When does your memory end, the initial memory that you had?
It ends when, after I climbed up the hill, I helped my Aunt Priscilla climb over a bunch of wood, because it was almost like wall-to-wall wood. You could almost walk on debris. And I got her up sitting with her son, Shane. And so I went up the hill to the road, a little dirt road that ran that side of the lake. I remember a lady walking toward me down the road, asking if she could help me. And all I said to her was that my swimsuit strap had broken. And she reaches inside, you know how women do. She pulls out a safety pin from somewhere, and she pins my swimsuit strap back together so my swimsuit isn't falling off. Sun is bright. The day got hot. Beautiful day. I mean, the weather just changed.
You know, you said everybody was kind of alone with their memories, and you brought them together. Was that a healing?
It was so healing. It was so good for us to talk. To just feel like you could just talk, that it was the topic of the day or the week or whatever. To just talk about everything that you had not talked about for 50 years. And then it was good, I think, for our families, our kids. And, you know, they kind of understood what we had been through. You know, how I had lost my grandma, how I'd lost my sister. I mean, it's just good. Details matter, you know, the information matters, the truth matters.
Sue ended up interviewing hundreds of people about the tornado. Eyewitnesses, first responders, the last living sheriff who'd been on the scene that day, the diver who combed the lake for bodies. But she never got the one thing she was really looking for.
Really what I was hoping for, I was hoping somebody had taken a picture. I wanted to see a picture of it.
A picture of the tornado?
The tornado.
Why?
Just to kind of put a I mean, I had pictures of the path of it, but I wondered if anybody from a safe distance had taken out their Instamatic camera and snapped a picture.
Sue never actually got to see the tornado that hit her family and defined her entire life. Even if she'd stuck her head out of the cabin door for a peek, all she would have seen is a wall of black wind. It was too big. And so now she basically wants the same thing that Craig and his students wanted. She just wants to see the thing.
In fact, I met a lady for lunch 2 weeks ago. And her dad and her sisters and her mom had been crossing that Highway 6 bridge right as the tornado was approaching. Her dad stopped the car and he wanted to take a picture. And her mom said, "Get back in the car." And because that tornado was moving about 60 miles an hour. So if it's coming right at you, you probably wouldn't even know how close it was. And so he jumped back in the car and they kept driving down Highway 6. So they didn't get a picture. But they also saved their lives.
If there was a tornado right now, like outside, and we were a safe distance away, would you go out and look at it?
I would want to see it. Absolutely. I would want to see it.
Thank you, Sue, for sharing your story with the Snap. Snappers, please do not bother Sue with your tornado stories unless it was an EF4 or higher, and bring receipts.
You know, if it didn't lift the house up, I'm not impressed. Isn't that awful?
Sue's memoir is titled The Lake Turned Upside Down. You can find it at duganbooks.com. Now, last but not least, thank you, Windom High School. Thank you, especially Sarah, Benny, and Danielle. Crystal Frank, another student on the trip, she shared her home video with us. This story would not have been possible without her. That's for Mr. Wolter. John, I think you wanted to say one more thing about Mr. Wolter?
Yeah, so Craig has been sending me videos.
Right, we're day one of storm chasing, and you're probably not going to hear me because it's so darn windy, which is good because we have...
In the past few weeks, he's been out on the road again, chasing tornadoes. He sent me this video of one he saw in Nebraska.
Okay, we got a tornado warning right here, right in this cell right here. It's rotating. It's called a mesocyclone.
Right on, Craig. Godspeed. Stay safe. To all the storm chasers out there, the original score for this piece was by Renzo Gorrio. It was produced by John Fecile. Black Wind Special. And if you missed even a moment, know the Snap Judgment Storytelling Podcast, it's available right now wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the iHeartMedia app. Snap is brought to you by the team that immediately disperses at the first sign of a tornado, except for the producer, Mr. Mark Ristich. He's out here flying kites. Now there's Nancy Lopez, Pat Messini-Miller, Anna Sussman, Renzo Gorrio, John Fecile, Shayna Shealy, Teo Ducot, Flo Wiley, Bo Walsh, Marissa Dodge, David Exime, and Regina Bediaco. On Team Snap, the union-represented producers, artists, editors, and engineers are members of the National Association of Broadcast Employees and Technicians, Communications Workers of America, AFL-CIO, Local 51. This is not the news. No way is this the news. In fact, you could hear that it's tornado weather and load up your 1959 Cadillac ambulance hearse with cameras, proton packs, PKE meters, and echo goggles, only to realize too late that you accidentally packed for ghost busting, not tornadoing, and you would still not be as far away from the news as this is. But this is PRX.
Minions don't wait, especially for Wi-Fi. Summon same-day Wi-Fi from Xfinity and get the same price for 5 years. And see Minions and Monsters only in theaters. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Learn more at xfinity.com/same-day Wi-Fi.